Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where everything you're about to hear and see has been done in one take. I'm your host, the One Take Man. My series of videos talking about TV show concepts that have been rattling through my head for the least, or for, not for the least, for the last decade and a half is continuing this week. This time with a look at another show that I couldn't think of a name for, but where the basic idea is that it is a more or less a slice of life sitcom about a group of uh, martial artists who are also professional athletes within their martial art. This main cast, at least at least in accordance with my concept for this series, would consist of six people, six, three men, three women, each representing a different European nation, and each from non-equivalent weight classes, and therefore, and who would and who the show would follow as they go through as they go through their daily lives outside of outside of contests. And that is a very deliberate focus, because even if you were to only look at media about martial artists that are professional athletes as well, there is still there's still a an embarrassment of riches when it comes to what it is you can what it is you can find. However, most of these finds are still focused on either on the glamour, on the triumph of being a martial artist and of gaining victories, or they focus conversely on the trials and the demands that are associated with the physical discipline necessary to become a master martial artist. So it's either look how cool this is, or look how hard it is to get there. My concept for a martial arts show instead look at what you have to deal with, even if you manage to be this cool in generally. Now, don't get me wrong. Uh, training portions and training portions and combat would still come up within this comedy series, because obviously, if you're doing any kind of show about martial artists and you do not include fight scenes, you're very much missing the point. But the primary focus of the show won't be on the won't necessarily be on how flashy it is to be a martial artist, but I would focus more on the absurd, the tedious, the more mundane aspects of their lives. The things that are, the things that even in their sob story fluff pieces about how they, about how martial artists are able to reach the heights they are able to reach, are still footnotes if mentioned at all. I'm talking about stuff like trying to keep appointments, trying to be good guests or good hosts, depending on the case. Various family shenanigans, family drama that could that could emerge, and not just because of payments. Small petty issues with the law, such as I know, parking tickets, fines, stuff like that. Uh, uh, or if they travel, what kind of accommodations can they make? How quickly are they required to make them? As they travel, as they travel, how they make sure that everything they need is with them. How do they make sure that nothing gets lost, that they don't miss their next their next connection, be it by bus, plane, uh, or train, or how do they know that they're going to the right place, etc., etc. That's the kind of thing I want this show to focus upon. The more the more mundane aspects, the more of their lives as professional athletes. If I were to make an analogy with how dance or dancing more broadly is typically portrayed, then this TV show would be less Black Swan and more Little Miss Sunshine, with its overall tone kind of being a little bit more campy than the average Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode. So yeah, that's the thought process I have going into this show. But really, a comedy show isn't just isn't just uh, isn't just its background. It's primarily about its humor, and most of its humor also relies on its on its other point of connecting with its audience, namely its cast. So who would the cast of this show be? Who would the audience follow? Follow with or follow over the course of this show's run. Well, I'll talk about them right now in order from lightest to heaviest weight class. Starting with Maria, perhaps somewhat obviously from Spain. Uh, I think I will have her play against the stereotype of of the Spanish people being very being very hot tempered, very passionate, very temperamental, and instead I will have her play someone who is a little bit more shy and a little bit more restrained. Okay, maybe not shy, but more quiet, more subdued. She does, and she is, however, she isn't quiet or subdued because she is shy or necessarily introverted, but rather because throughout her life she has learned that arrogance is loud, and therefore she wants to present herself more as the strong, silent type. That would arguably make her haughty, but she is not haughty in the typical way that someone of her background would be. And I imagine over the course of the show, she would learn that, oh, there are actually other ways to be, to be wrong about something than simply being loud about those things. Okay, now I know. So yeah, that's basically gonna be her. That's basically gonna be her character arc. Don't assume you're right just because you're quiet. Next up, Dimitri, Bulgarian, and the lightest of the guys. I pretty much see him as being the stereotypical comedy protagonist, someone who is very uninhibited and very enterprising, who always has always has at least half a dozen schemes going on in the background, only for some of them to, in some way, shape, or form, explode right in his face. Not always, not often, maybe not even most of the time, but still often enough to make those around him think twice before they decide to, before they actually decide to join him. Up next, we have Luise from Germany, and unlike with Maria, where I outright decided to reject the stereotype, with Luise I kind of wanted to play with it a little bit, and as such I see her as the most orderly of the group, but she would not be stoic, she would not be cold, she would not be restrained. Instead, I imagine she would be very passionate, and at least when it comes to her contribution within the group, and therefore she would potentially flare up quite dramatically if people decide to go do something else and become a sort of agents of chaos that disrupt her, disrupt the order she laid out. Because she worked hard to get that order done, damn it, and she wants to make sure that her hard work is respected. That's basically her motivation. By contrast, Vincenzo from Italy, I imagine would be the most would very much be the most pretentious of the group. Very much stuck up and vainglorious, seeing himself not simply as a martial artist, not simply as a performer or athlete, but as a knight who is perfecting his craft. I imagine him and Dimitri would be would be the very natural primary rivalry that gets going throughout this or within this group. Uh, not not just because they have clashing personalities, but maybe also from a but also maybe from a broader for a broader reason when it comes to how they approach their martial art, or perhaps for pettier reasons. Say some say one of them inconvenienced the other someday, and they decided to commit themselves to being each other's enemies ever since. Not officially, but still. But still, they follow up on that goal with enough with enough intensity and a strong enough commitment that yeah, you could actually by the day would have seriously that they would seriously have made that kind of commitment. That being said, their rivalry wouldn't come to blows. I think both of them are smart enough to know to avoid that. Instead I imagine that any kind of game between them would soon stop being casual, if if it ever was, and they would probably try to outshine each other. So whenever there's a tournament, for example, each of them would make sure that they have the best rating from the judges, the best crowd response, or the best press coverage, stuff like that. Uh, Next up, the heaviest woman, Tuli, from Finland. I imagine would very much be the mom of the group, and she would be very composed, very calm, very agreeable, but she would also have enough dry wit and humor to be able to counter uh, to counter everyone who everyone else in their group, and make sure that they uh, uh, do still stick to some form of the and that they commit to some form of the straight and narrow. So in that sense, she is very much the voice of reason, the brain of the group. Not just so yeah, she's not just a beleaguered quasi maternal figure. She is she's very much she's more of a she's very much she's more of a cool girl, but not cool girl in the sense that she is above it all. More in the sense that she is and that she can be right there with right there in the thick of it with everyone else, but still know how to most effectively navigate it while still keeping her cool. Most of the time, there would still be some things that set her off, but for the most part, she would be the straight man or straight person of the group more broadly. And last but not least, Vladimir from Ukraine. And him, I imagine having a very a very domineering or menacing appearance. Given that he would be from the heaviest weight class, so therefore he would be the beefiest person in that entire house. However, while his appearance would be that of a pit bull, I very much imagine his personality would be more like that of a Labrador Retriever, because I very much see him as being having this more a bit of a calmer, more friendly personality. Friendly not in the sense of nice to meet you, let's go party, but friendly in the sense of uh, I'm here for you if you need that from me. I think if I were to give him a character flaw or something to overcome throughout this show, I think maybe making him a little bit dim would very much fulfill that purpose. Now, you know, because and that would perhaps make put his friendliness a little bit more in contrast, because that because or in a or in a different mental model, because this because that is the primary thing he is aware of, the primary thing that he wants to that he wants to implement. Even if he's not enthusiastic about it, he's still there for you. And now that we've established the characters, it's time to ask. It's time to ask one of the perhaps most important questions anyone can ask about a show. Why would it work like this? Like, yeah, the concept is to bring a bunch of people together from from various nations at different from various nations at different weight classes to uh, uh, and have them sort of live and train together, because that's how the comedy would get going. But what would the in-universe justification be for these characters becoming for these characters being associated with each other? And the best answer I can come up with is that it would be something cooked up by the European governing body that defines and controls competitions within within their martial art. Their idea would be to create a program through which six people of different backgrounds from different weight classes would come together, live and train together, and in order for them to see whether that makes a difference within their martial prowess or their career success a little bit more broadly. Whether that actually works, or how exactly, or what kind of results would otherwise be achieved that way, is something that I don't want to answer right now. That would be what the actual show would be about, or what the actual show would intend to answer. Whether that actually makes a difference. As for the bigger question in the room, the one that I've more or less been avoiding, I I think their martial art would be Taekwondo, and I choose this martial art in particular because in order for the show to work in the way that I would require it to work, as in both as a story and as a means to and as something to capture the attention of an audience, well then the martial art would have to fulfill three different criteria. First of all, it would have to be it would have to be flashy enough to look cool on the screen. So so the show has an interesting and appealing aesthetic and aesthetic and visuals. Secondly, it has to be technically complex enough to where someone can become an expert or a professional within this martial art, but still have plenty to learn from other professionals. And thirdly, it has to have a broad, ideally universally appeal, as in anyone who would watch it would have to figure out, would have to be interested in what it is they're seeing, and interested in what the outcome is going to be. That is, universal appeal is arguably the hardest of these to define, but I found a pretty convenient shortcut for it. Is it at the Olympics? If yes, then I very much consider it to have a universal appeal. And for my money, Taekwondo, even though I'm a little bit displeased with how the weight classes for Olympic Taekwondo are defined, I still think that is the best available choice. Feel free to go to the comment section and tell me if I'm wrong. Not just about that, but anything else. For now, however, I would like to say that my pitch presentation for a show based on the concept presented in the title of this video has come to an end. Thank you for your attention. If you've enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If you have anything to add, either to the concept in the title or to my particular to my particular pitch when it comes to how to make such a thing happen, well, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. Ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. I also have a main channel where I talk about the print medium and selected works therein, a link to which you can find in the description down below, right past my social media links, which I also suggest you check out, should you choose to. If however you find yourselves less than interested in my opinions on the print medium, well then I suggest you stay on this channel and go for my extensive backlog, where aside from pitching TV series, I also pitch movies. And I also do reviews and retrospectives on movies and TV shows, among a whole variety of other things. So if that sounds like it could be up your alley, go ahead and do that. If none of these sound interesting to you, well then I suggest you go ahead and do whatever you want the rest of your day, because it is your day after all. And yeah, that was it for me. So until next time, I have been the One Take Man.